Thank you for joining this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze the important news of the day. Without delay, let's explore the headlines first. Aadhaar-based payment system or ABPS has become mandatory for MGNREGA scheme workers. ISRO's PSLV C-58 successfully launched XPoSat or X-ray polymeter satellite and 10 other satellites from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. BRICS has expanded its membership to include 5 new nations. A major tsunami warning was issued in Japan after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck its central region. The Government of India has constituted the 16th Finance Commission. Union Finance Minister has chaired a meeting to review public sector banks. Starting with the first news. Aadhaar-based payment system or ABPS has become mandatory for MGNREGA scheme workers. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme gives a legal guarantee of 100 days of wage employment in a year to adult members of a rural household willing for unskilled manual work. MGNREGA scheme has utilized ABPS since 2017 and has been made mandatory from 1st January 2024. Government may consider exemption on a case-to-case basis if any Gram Panchayat has either a technical problem or an Aadhaar-related problem. The Aadhaar-based payment system or ABPS works by utilizing the distinctive 12-digit Aadhaar number as the financial address for workers. To receive payments through ABPS, a seamless integration of the worker's Aadhaar details is essential. Firstly, the Aadhaar information must be seeded to the individual's job card, ensuring a direct association between employment and financial identification. Additionally, the worker's Aadhaar details must be linked to their bank account, establishing a vital connection between the Aadhaar system and the banking infrastructure. Furthermore, the worker's Aadhaar information must be accurately mapped with the National Payments Corporation of India or NCPI database. Now let's understand the significance of the move. The recent move will curb corruption by implementing measures to weed out fake beneficiaries and will also ensure speedy payments and reduce rejection due to change of bank account of beneficiaries. To enhance the efficiency of MGNREGA scheme, several strategic changes have been introduced over the years. The implementation of National Mobile Monitoring System app plays a pivotal role by capturing the attendance of MGNREGA scheme workers in real time, fostering transparency and accountability. The secure application has been incorporated for the estimation, preparation and approval of MGNREGA scheme works. Furthermore, the Geo MGNREGA initiative facilitates the geotagging of all completed works under MGNREGA scheme, ensuring accurate monitoring and assessment. The Unnati project is aimed at upgrading the skill base of MGNREGA workers, aligning the scheme with evolving demands and improving the workforce. Apart from MGNREGA scheme, there are more than 1100 government schemes and programs run by centre and states which have been notified to use Aadhaar. Some of them are Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana and Atal Pension Yojana. Moving on to the next news. ISRO's PSLV C-58 successfully launched XPoSat or X-ray polymeter satellite and 10 other satellites from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. With XPoSat's successful launch, India has become the second country after the United States to send an observatory to study astronomical sources such as black holes and neutron stars. Let's start by first understanding about the XPoSat mission. It is the first dedicated scientific satellite from ISRO designed to investigate the polarization of intense X-ray sources in space. If we talk about polarization, then it is a characteristic of waves, including electromagnetic waves like X-rays, that describes the orientation of the oscillations of the wave in a particular direction. In the context of X-rays, polarization can provide valuable information about the properties of the source and the environment through which the X-rays have traveled. The XPoSat operates in a low Earth orbit at an altitude of about 650 km with a low inclination of around 6 degrees. It carries 2 payloads, namely POLIX or polymeter instrument in X-rays and XPECT or X-ray spectroscopy and timing. The mission life is expected to be operational for approximately 5 years. During the mission, the PSLV Orbital Experimental Module 3 or POEM-3 experiment was executed to meet the objective of 10 other payloads. Now let's understand about the ISRO's PSLV Orbital Experimental Module 3 or POEM-3 experiment. PSLV is a 4-stage rocket where the first 3 spent stages fall back into the ocean and the final stage or PS4 after launching the satellite into orbit ends up usually as space junk. However, POEM allows in-orbit scientific experiments using spent final stage as a stabilized platform to perform experiments. This is the third time the ISRO has used the PSLV Orbital Experimental Module platform to demonstrate space technologies. Moving ahead to the next news. BRICS has expanded its membership to include 5 new nations. Talking about BRICS, it is an informal group comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The new members included in the organization are Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Argentina has decided to withdraw from its planned entry to BRICS. The last expansion of the BRICS had occurred in 2010 when South Africa joined the group. Now let's discuss the significance of its expansion. The expansion will help increase the multipolarity and will challenge the established Western-led order. It will raise South-South cooperation among the developing countries, which will help India in advancing its claim as the leader of the Global South. It would also help to make a collective voice for the restructuring of global institutions. Further, it will increase oil production among its members due to the incursion of oil-producing countries. There are also some challenges posed with the BRICS. Let's now discuss about them. The divergence in worldviews among BRICS nations is evident, as exemplified by India considering BRICS as non-Western, while China views it as anti-Western. The potential impact of economic and political sanctions on member countries raises concerns about possible economic disruptions. The alliance grapples with an internal trust deficit and a lack of shared understanding regarding expansion standards, criteria, and procedures. Additionally, the overlapping membership with other groups such as IBSA, which comprises India, Brazil, and South Africa, adds complexity to the dynamics within the BRICS framework. Moving on, a major tsunami warning was issued in Japan after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck its central region. Tsunami is a Japanese term meaning harbor wave. Tsunamis are often incorrectly called tidal waves, but they have no relation to the daily ocean tides. It is a series of enormous waves created by an underwater disturbance usually associated with earthquakes occurring below or near the ocean. Tsunamis can also be generated by volcanic eruptions, submarine landslides, and coastal rock falls, as can a large asteroid impacting the ocean. They originate from a vertical movement of the sea floor with the consequent displacement of water mass. If we talk about the earthquakes-induced tsunami, then we can say that the most strong earthquakes occur in subduction zones where an oceanic plate slides under a continental plate or another younger ocean plate. All earthquakes do not cause tsunamis. There are few conditions necessary for an earthquake to cause a tsunami. That is, earthquake must be strong, at least 6.5 magnitude on the Richter scale, and it must occur at a shallow depth of less than 70 kilometers below the surface of the earth. India has also taken some measures to tackle and effectively manage tsunami risk in India, which includes early warning system for mitigation through Indian National Centre for Ocean Information Services, Hyderabad, and there are also tsunami risk management guidelines issued by the National Disaster Management Authority. Moving on, the Government of India has constituted the 16th Finance Commission. It was constituted with the approval of President of India in pursuance of Article 280, Clause 1 of the Constitution. The government appointed Arvind Panagria, who was former Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, as the Chairman, and members would be notified separately. The Commission's work involves readdressing the vertical imbalances between the taxation powers and expenditure responsibilities of the centre and the states respectively, and equalization of all public services across the states. The Commission shall be making recommendations which will be based on distribution between the Union and states of the net proceeds of taxes and allocation between the states of such proceeds. Principles for governing the grants in aid and revenues of the state under Article 275 of the Constitution. Measures needed to augment the consolidated fund of a state to supplement the resources of the panchayats and municipalities based on State Finance Commission recommendation. The Commission may also review present arrangements for financing disaster management initiatives concerning the funds constituted under Disaster Management Act 2005. The 16th Finance Commission recommendations upon acceptance by the government would cover the period of 5 years commencing from April 1, 2026. Before proceeding, let's also discuss about the previous or the 15th Finance Commission. The 15th Finance Commission, chaired by N.K. Singh and established in 2017, played a crucial role by providing recommendations for the fiscal years 2020-21 and 2021-22 to 2025-26. One significant recommendation involved the share of states in central taxes to 41% as part of vertical devolution. The criteria for horizontal devolution encompassed factors such as income distance, area, population, demographic performance, forest and ecology, along with tax and fiscal efforts. Notably, the Commission suggested a reduction in the fiscal deficit of 4% of GDP by the financial year 2025-26. Moving on to the next news. Union Finance Minister has chaired a meeting to review public sector banks. The Finance Minister has asked public sector banks to concentrate on fraud prevention activities and willful defaults. The term willful default encompasses various deliberate action, including the intentional non-payment of dues despite having sufficient cash flow, siphoning off funds to the detriment to the defaulting unit, engaging in fraudulent transactions by the borrower, misappropriating proceeds from the sale of assets financed by the bank, misrepresentation or falsification of records, and disposing of securities without the bank's knowledge. The Finance Minister also suggested fraud prevention activities, which includes consumer education for protection from malicious fraud calls, efforts for timely identification of accounts as fraud and investigation, efforts in recovery from accounts declared as fraud, and monitoring early warning signals to check potential frauds. In the context of willful defaults, the Finance Minister has advocated a multifaceted approach. Firstly, there is a call for a performance review of legal counsel representing public sector banks to ensure their effectiveness in pursuing legal actions against defaulters. Secondly, there is an emphasis on adopting responsible lending practices, which includes enhanced due diligence prior to loan disbursement. Additionally, the proposal emphasizes the necessity for regular monitoring of large loan accounts and prompt, comprehensive legal actions when defaults occur. Now let's discuss some measures taken to curb incidents of frauds and willful defaults in bank. Framework for timely detection, reporting and investigation relating to large value bank frauds for comprehensive checking of PSB's non-performing assets. Central Fraud Registry set up by RBI as a searchable online central database. Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018 to deter economic offenders. Establishment of National Financial Reporting Authority for enforcement of auditing standards and also publishing photographs of willful defaulters in terms of RBI's instructions. The personality news for today is Vikram Sarabhai. He was born in Ahmedabad and is considered as the father of Indian space program. Now let's have a look at his contributions. He led the establishment of the Indian National Committee for Space Research, later ISRO, under his chairmanship. He also established some other institutions, which are the Physical Research Laboratory in Ahmedabad, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram. In 1974, the International Astronomical Union decided that a moon crater Bessel in the Sea of Serenity would be known as Sarabhai crater. He also received Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan, which is the second highest civilian award in India. He exhibited the values of scientific temper, visionary and social service. As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. Exchanges of list happened under agreement on the prohibition of attack against nuclear installation and facilities between India and Pakistan. The agreement was signed in 1988 and entered into force in 1991. The agreement mandates two countries to inform each other of nuclear installation and facilities to be covered under the agreement on the first day of January of every calendar year. Recently, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution has made printing of date of manufacturing and unit of sale price mandatory on all packaged commodities effective from January 1, 2024. Earlier, companies were given the option to either print the date of manufacturing or date of import or date of packaging on the packaged commodities. The government has released draft guidelines to make railways more user-friendly for persons with disabilities as part of Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. They comply with the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. One of the key suggestions in the draft is the accessibility features such as text-to-speech and user-friendly pictograms for website. Public health researchers recommended implementing a health tax ranging from 20% to 30% in addition to the goods and services tax. Currently, sugar is taxed at 18% GST. Sugar-sweetened beverages attract 28% GST and a 12% additional cess. Impact of imposing a health tax will help control obesity, tooth decay, risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain cancers. Many startups are reverse flipping, that is, moving their overseas holding entities to India. Reverse flipping, it is a term used to describe the trend of overseas startups shifting their domicile to India and listing on Indian stock exchanges. The Economic Survey 2022-23 recognized the concept of reverse flipping and proposed ways to accelerate the process, such as simplifying corporate laws and capital movements and simplification of taxation. DRDO celebrated the 66th Foundation Day on 1st January. Defense Research and Development Organization's headquarters is in New Delhi. It is the research and development wing of the Ministry of Defense, formed in 1958. Its vision is to empower India with cutting-edge defense technologies. Its mission is to achieve self-reliance in critical defense technologies and systems. Tibetan Thangka paintings being part of Rahul collection, a provisional gift made to Patna Museum by a prominent scholar. Thangka painting is an ancient Tibetan Buddhist art form which depicts Buddhist deities. Thangkas have a variety of uses as a means of gaining merit in death rituals, during meditation, and in Buddhist ceremonies. It is believed that it has flourished about 1000 years back in Tibet. The West Bengal government notified Poila Boisak as State Day and Banglar Mati Banglar Jal as state song. Poila Boisak is the first day of the month of Boisak of the Bengali calendar year and is named as Bangla Divas. Poila Boisak is an important festival celebrated by Bengali communities across West Bengal, Tripura, Jharkhand and Assam. In 2023, it was celebrated on April 15th. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to the test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out this link in the description below.